Let me get you on camera. Where you from?
California.
No, for real. No, serious though.
Watts, baby.
I know where you from though. Where you from?
Eastside PJ Watts.
I'm from Grace 2 Rock, nigga.
Right.
They call you, homie?
Big Slice.
Big Slice?
Yes, yes.
All right, nigga. They call me Puto, cuz.
Right.
That hustle. Big shout out to SPI, Spotter Low. You know, I'm in the black box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned. All that.
The constant, consistent, continuous content creation campaign continues in the black box. I just was scrolling through the YouTube streets and saw this title, and I just assumed that it had to do something with smuggling or transporting and dope getting found in the ocean or something. But cocaine sharks, why would sharks test positive for cocaine? That's the only thing I could imagine, man. But we're going to see together what the actual factuals are. With no further ado, let's see what they say these cocaine sharks have been up to.
I don't know. This next story kind of sounds like the plot of a horror movie, but it is all true. Sharks testing positive for drugs in the crystal clear waters of the Bahamas. We're talking painkillers, caffeine, cocaine. According to a new study that was published in the Journal of Environmental Pollution, scientists captured and tested 85 sharks across multiple species near a remote island in the Bahamas. And scientists say about 1/3 of those sharks tested had detectable levels of drugs in their blood. Now, this is serious because researchers say they're concerned about what constant exposure to these chemicals could do to the shark's health and to the balance of the entire marine ecosystem.
I don't understand why were they even testing the sharks in the first place to even give them a drug test? That's crazy. They must know for a fact that there's some drugs being dumped into the ocean to even be testing them.
Ecosystem. And maybe more importantly, if the drugs will make their sharks more aggressive towards people. So is it safe to go back into the water? For that, I want to bring in Dr. Tracy Fanara. She's an environmental engineer and research scientist. Thank you so much for taking the time. Natural first question is, how are the drugs getting to the sharks? Are tourists flushing them? Throwing them in the water? Are they being dumped by smugglers? And also, how are they in such a form that they can be readily ingested?
All great questions, and it depends where you are, because in a previous study in Brazil, we found that it was likely that sharks were being exposed due to illicit activities, very highly concentrated urban wastewater. In the more recent study in the Bahamas, these substances were found in the sharks' blood, which means that they were likely consistently or chronically exposed to these chemicals at very low levels, so likely from wastewater overflows, septic. One study says that about 85% of the wastewater entering the coastal waters is either poorly treated or completely untreated, allowing a lot of the pharmaceuticals that are flushed down the toilet and from septic systems, boats, for examples, and of course.
So does that mean if you go to the beach and spend a considerable amount of time in the water, you could possibly become intoxicated? I wonder.
Places where there's a lot of tourism, so a lot of wastewater entering those coastal waters.
Do we know what kind of effect they have on the sharks? First of all, let's say a shark ingesting a sizable amount of cocaine, but I don't know, cocaine on top of everything else? I mean, do we know what effect this has? And again, makes them, I don't know, more aggressive?
Two different questions that you had there. And the first one was a really impressive question, because sharks and any species have compounding impacts, right? So sharks are facing so many other pressures. Then on top of it, these pharmaceuticals, the question is, how are they impacted? And this new study from the Bahamas was the first one to actually show that there were metabolic markers. So these nearshore sharks that were exposed or did have concentrations of these drugs, they found changes, differences. To detox, they use more energy. That might change their energy ability, their metabolism. It might change their ability to reproduce long term. So we are concerned as time goes on and chemicals in our waters increase, how these sharks we'll deal with this.
What can be done? What can be done to correct this?
That's a great question as well. So many things can be done right now. Wastewater and drinking water, two different things. Wastewater treatment, it's mostly focused on pathogens, nutrients, solids, removing those before that water enters back into the ecosystem. And we can advance that wastewater treatment and start focusing on some of these problematic pharmaceuticals, chemicals that we're seeing in the environment have an impact on ecosystems.
And real quick, about 30 seconds, you talk about ecosystem. What effect does this have on other sea life? And I don't know, even us, eating that sea life.
Yeah, so sharks, this came long after a study on fish and drugs in fish, and species of fish all over the world were found to not only have these chemicals, but also have behavioral and physiological changes. So the question is, are people impacted by eating fish? And it depends where you're eating the fish and how much, and most likely very small doses. But as we're seeing chemicals introduced into the ecosystem more and more, humans that are chronically exposed, we're seeing impacts. Yeah. So, I mean, it's something to watch out for, but advanced water treatment.
It really is. Dr. Tracy Fanara, really a distressing situation. Thanks for taking the time and explaining to us. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, man. Kind of thought it was going to be more associated with like smugglers dumping something into the ocean, but hey, go figure. It's cocaine and other drugs in the ocean affecting the fish that may affect you if you have a certain amount of consumption or a certain amount of exposure. Kind of reminds me of the movie, The Cocaine Bear. Y'all seen The Cocaine Bear? If you haven't, treat yourself to a viewage of The Cocaine Bear. It's a comedy. It's funny. Oh, my mama.
Let me get you on camera. Where you from?
California.
No, for real. No, I'm serious though.
Watts, baby.
I know where you from though. Where you from?
Eastside PJ Watts.
I'm from Grace 2 out, nigga.
Right.
They call you, homie?
Big Slice.
Big Slice?
Yes, yes.
All right, nigga. They call me Puto, cuz.
Right.
You in that hustle. Big shout out to SPR, Spotter Low. I'm in the black box. Had to come through, tap in, show love one time. Yeah, y'all make sure y'all subscribe. Stay tuned. All that.